Hey everybody, welcome back to the Preacher plus the Prodigy. Tim, Jericho, we make college football predictions for 5 games every week. We're in week number 5.
5 of 2021. It's been a wild year. Some teams going down. After last week, we had North Carolina State beating Clemson. Clemson's now out of the top 10 for the first time in I think it's 100 weeks.
Top 25.
No, they're number 25.
Oh, okay.
They're top 10 for
right.
100 weeks. But then it was a close game in Chicago until Notre Dame just pulled away at the end, scored 31 in the fourth, and just put away Wisconsin in extraordinary fashion.
Yep.
And Arkansas with an upset against Texas A&M.
Upset to some predictors.
Yeah, they move up to 8. Now Texas A&M is 15. So a little bit of shifting in the top 15, top 20 of the college football AP poll.
And the Cyclones got whacked in Waco.
The Cyclones got whacked in Waco. You're right about that one. And overall, it was a pretty wild week. A lot better than we expected it to be. There were only 2 big games. But in the end, we move on. It's week number 5, and we got a much better.
What are your takeaways from the Michigan State-Nebraska game?
I think Nebraska can be scary, but I still like Michigan State as a pretty good team, top 25 team.
You do, okay.
It was just,
is Nebraska the best 2 and 3 team in the country?
I have to look over the 2 and 3 teams, but at this point, from what I know, I'd probably say. Probably.
Okay.
I just don't know all the 2 and 3 teams.
Okay.
So.
All right, so we're moving on to week 5. We have 5 games to predict, and right now at our current records, I know I got to go first because I'm ahead, but I want to hear you say it.
You are. I don't want to. You're 13-7, and I'm chilling at a 8-12 record against the spread.
Would you say you're within striking distance yet?
Not. Technically, yes, I can tie you, but I don't think it's going to be all that like.
So the rules are like this, and when I'm ahead, I got to pick 3 games first, so I don't just pick everything you pick, and you never have a chance to catch up. So whoever's ahead's got to pick the 3 games first, and whoever's behind picks 2 games first. So I go first on game number 1, which is
game
what?
Number 1. We have the number 21 team of the country, Baylor, who beat Iowa State in a close game. Going up against Oklahoma State, I would call it an upset because they beat a top 25 team when they were unranked, but it wasn't really an upset because Kansas State is not that good in my mind, and it was in Stillwater. So it's a number 21 against number 19 matchup. In Boone Pickens Stadium, the line of this game is the Cowboys by 3.5. So they think we're going to win by a field goal or more.
I wish this was one of the ones you picked first because I really have no idea.
All right, I'll pick first.
Well, no, I can go first. I am going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I like Dave Rand as a defensive coach. I love Mike Gundy, the mullet man, as an offensive coach.
He should go to Coastal Carolina.
Well, maybe if Jamie Chadwell leaves for something else, then
maybe the USC job. You never know.
You never know. Actually, I was talking to a USC fan today, and he's hoping for James Franklin. So, okay.
See if that happens. Anyway, continue.
I'm going to take the Cowboys. I'm going to lay the points. I'll take the Cowboys to win and cover.
Shoot. All right. I think I'm going to have to agree with you on this one. Oklahoma State looked solid. Last week, they were just dominant from start to finish, and I know Baylor won against a alright Iowa State team at home, barely. So I guess I got to go with the home team here, take the points.
In college football, a better offense beats a better defense most of the time.
Yep. NFL is the opposite.
Yep.
All right, going to Camp Randall Stadium, our Michigan Wolverines had a tough game against Rutgers. Came down pretty close to the wire. Going up against the Wisconsin Badgers, who got blown out of Soldier Field against Notre Dame. At home here, Wisconsin is a 2-point favorite after already losing to Penn State at home. Wisconsin's a favorite here. Oh boy, I gotta take Wisconsin here. Michigan is always, except for maybe 2 games in the Jim Harbaugh era, Michigan always seems to, if it's a game that should be close or they should lose, but maybe only by like 10 points, they get blown out. It's not even close. Ohio State, when we played them a couple years ago in Columbus, we were the number 3 team in the country. They were number 9, and we lost by at least 25 points. So, I mean, Jim Harbaugh's not played well in big situations, and I just think that that's going to happen in a tough environment.
You already know my Michigan predictions for the year. I
4-0 and no loss.
I predict them to go 4-0 and then to finish the season 2-6. Now they have looked better in the first 3 games than I thought they would look, and then they looked worse against Rutgers than I thought that they would.
Let's just hope that's a fluke, because I mean, if you get a close game at home against Rutgers,
so flukes being what? So remember that Wisconsin and Notre Dame were 10-10 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Michigan had 2 bad quarters. Wisconsin had 1 terrible quarter.
So,
but that's the lasting memory that's in both teams' minds.
I mean, Wisconsin just couldn't hang on. The game was closer than the score says, but it just, in the end, they got 2 pick sixes, a kick 6. It just, everything in the end was just going right for Notre Dame.
I want to disagree with you. I'm taking Wisconsin. I'm giving the 1.5. I'm with you. I think this is a 28-10 Wisconsin game. I don't think Cade McNamara is right for whatever reason. I'm not sure he has the mentality to win on the road. I do think Michigan will fool around with J.J. McCarthy for a drive or two, probably in the second half, and see what happens to see if they can spark something. But I like Wisconsin's defense. Again, their defense didn't give up 41 points to Notre Dame. They've got Jack Sanborn, and those guys are tough. I think Michigan's offensive attack really committed to the run game, gets closed down, 28-10 Wisconsin.
All right, I agree with you on that one. So we agree on both.
Yep.
3 games to go. Last year, this game was a absolute shootout. Yards were being gained everywhere. It was a 63-48 win for the Alabama Crimson Tide against the Ole Miss Rebels. This year, it's in Tuscaloosa with the number 12 Ole Miss Rebels going up against the number 1 team in the country. Almost lost to Florida in the Swamp, Bama Crimson Tide. Bama's coming in this one, another big line by 14.5. What are you taking?
It's a good line. Give me Ole Miss. I like what Lane Kiffin can do on offense. He's been inside Nick Saban's war room. He probably has some suspicions as to what they'll try to do defensively. He knows how to attack it. Alabama wins the game, but I see something similar to last year. I think that Lane Kiffin's gunning for his old boss. I think Alabama does win this game, not by not that kind of score in terms of the over as last year, But I think this thing could be a 37-30 game, and so I'll take the Rebs. I like the Rebs in this one at 14.
Shoot, yeah, I got to agree with you that this game is a coin flip, but I'm going to have to disagree with you.
You're going to coin flip for the win, or a coin flip on the line?
For the line, because, I mean, Matt Corral is a Heisman Trophy front-runner right now, I think. Their offense is really hard to stop. Lane Kiffin knows Nick Saban's offense pretty much by heart. Coached with him for a couple of years.
Well, he knows his defense. It's a new offense because Bill O'Brien's in there.
But still, I mean, the number 1 team in the country, I know they had a tough game against Florida, but that was in the Swamp. This game right now is against a different team, Ole Miss, in Tuscaloosa. And I think Nick Saban is... I just think Nick Saban's defense is going to hold Ole Miss offense to 31 points or less, and I think that Ole Miss defense can't hold.
Then you're going to say they've got to score 45 or more then?
Yes, at least. Well, not...
Yeah,
I'm going to say if it's
14.5.
So it's got to be 46-31 if that's going to be the high score right now. And if it's going to be as close as we think it's going to be. So I'm going to take that one.
All right, so there's a chance for you to make going up. All right, Game 4.
All right, Game 4. We got the Group of 5 team representing the Group of 5, the Cincinnati Bearcats, number 7 in the land, going up against a team that we talked about earlier, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, with a big win against Wisconsin last week in Chicago. Cincinnati, if they win this game comfortably, they could perhaps maybe give the guys... playoff committee a thought about maybe adding a Group of 5 team in here for the first time, I think ever, in the 28 teams that have competed. And, Desmond Ridder, again, is a Heisman candidate. Luke Fickell has done a great job rebuilding and
They'll have the best case since Central Florida a couple of years ago.
Yes,
for sure.
and now, I mean, with Brian Kelly being the all-time winningest coach in Notre Dame history, and just they had close games against Toledo and Florida State. We found out that none of those teams were good, but then they had a big win against Wisconsin. So are they clutch in big games, bad and not so big games? I don't know, but this is definitely a big game.
Time for you to pick,
The line on this game is Cincinnati by 1.5. You know what? I'm going to take the Bearcats in this one.
Sweet.
Big pick. I'm going to take the Bearcats in this one. I think they really feel like they need to make a name for themselves. I think that Desmond Ritter is going to have a big game, and I think they just have to, fight. And I think that this could be a 3-point game, a 4-point game, but I do think that they're going to win by 2 or more points.
That's a great pick for me because Notre Dame wins this game. I've said from the beginning of the year, party's over Cincinnati, and they should have lost to Indiana, but Michael Penix decided that he preferred to complete passes to Bearcats than to Hoosiers. Notre Dame's better than Indiana, and I think Notre Dame's playing with a ton of confidence right now, offensively and defensively. I like the skill position players for Notre Dame. I like Jack Cohn. I'm taking Notre Dame to win the game outright. Give me Notre Dame.
Right.
Give me those points. Cheer, cheer
Then
for old Notre Dame.
The game of the week in Athens, Georgia. We have the upstart.
This is a night game?
No, it is a 11 o'clock
Wow.
Central game, a 12 noon game. So it's going to be on ESPN. It's going to be big time matchup. I think this is where College Game Day is going to.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the upstart Arkansas
Fighting Sam Pittman's.
Razorbacks, second year head coach Sam Pittman
Mm-hmm.
at Arkansas. They have looked incredible in the 4 games they've played, and going up at Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Between those hedges.
keep in mind that Georgia is the number 2 team in the country. Their defense is the best in the nation. Their offense, top 10. And Kirby Smart has his most talented team in his entire career at Georgia, head coach at Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an incredible defense, bonkers. They will get to the quarterback one every maybe 3 times. It's a passing play.
Yeah.
One every 2 times.
Yeah.
Their passing defense, they lock down.
Yep.
And their offense, they have JT Daniels, who was a preseason Heisman front runner, top 3. They have Zamir White, who is a very good running back.
Zeus.
They have 2 fast wide receivers on the outside. And, I mean, this team is loaded everywhere. Right now, I probably would take Georgia to beat Alabama because Georgia has not had a close game yet. Besides Clemson game, it wasn't really close. The scoreboard might say it close, but it wasn't really close. So now they play against Arkansas. The line on this game is 18 for Georgia. Your pick first.
I am very confident in Georgia winning. I'm less confident in them winning by 3 scores. But I'm still confident enough that I'm going to take Georgia. I think that Arkansas is on their way to really perhaps supplanting LSU in the SEC West as a powerhouse because I think Sam Pittman's a great coach. He's a fantastic recruiter. We didn't know how well he could coach, but he's really running that program very well out of Little Rock. And I think that they have a very bright future. I love what they did at home and then at a neutral site against A&M. An A&M team that, remember, was without their quarterback. So I think they're good. I don't think they're great. I think Georgia's great. I'm going to take Georgia to win this game. I think that's a good number. We've said that before. I think it's going to be like a 41-20 game. But give me the Dogs. I'll give you the 18. Give me the Dogs.
Wow, this is a good number, but I'm going to take Arkansas. I'm going to have to agree with you again. Sam Pittman is a exceptional coach. He will be having his guys watch film all week long. Their running game is solid, and I know Georgia's defense is good. I'm keeping that in my mind. But Arkansas's running game is very good. Their passing game, maybe not so good, but their running game is kind of hard to stop. And then go to the defensive side of the ball. They play well everywhere. They don't have like a great run defense and not a great pass defense or vice versa. They're good everywhere. And I would take Georgia to win, but maybe not as much as people think. I think this is going to be a bit closer game. I think this could be like a Florida Alabama game that we saw earlier. Maybe not near as close, but still could give
18's
Georgia
a lot of margin there, but I'm a believer in the dogs. Give me Georgia. You're taking Arkansas. So
right.
We disagree on 3. We agree on 2. That means
Trying to make up some ground or lose a lot of it.
Yeah, you're not going to be down 5 games next week. You'll be down
8.
Yeah, 8 or perhaps 2. We'll have to see how things go. So we'll evaluate next week. Until then, yo soy the preacher.
The Prodigy.
This is our podcast. Peace.